Okay, good afternoon, guys. Today we're going to be looking at, it's our first session, so bear with us. We're going to be looking at the new features and enhancements that are coming into 26.12. We're going to be going through about 6 or 7 things today. I'll keep it brief, and we are going to be covering those, and then I'll give you a summary of some of the other things. Just for your info, next Monday is the beta release, and then the customer release will probably be toward the end of next week, and potentially the following Monday, something along those lines. Anyway, so we'll cover some of the key bits here, and then we will send out the release notes to everyone, so you've got those in advance as well. These sessions have basically come around based on feedback from customers saying we want to be shown a little bit about the new features and stuff that are coming in, and we're happy to do that. So these will be a regular thing. Along with the releases, we'll be doing sessions on key areas in Prima, so specific modules or specific processes that people request that we go through. So if you don't recognise my voice, should have said this earlier, I'm Steve, run the training team, and we've got Joseph is manning the chat. So as I'm going through things, if you've got any questions on the stuff that we're going through, feel free to use the chat facility in YouTube to ask Joe any questions. Right. Okay, so we'll get going. First point I want to show you on the new version is the update to the way Prima handles the pricing bands. Okay, so as now you guys have got to run your catalog import process, and then as on the back of the catalog import process, there's a manual procedure for you to go in and update the discount bands so the relevant items are matching what the latest catalog says. Okay, so long time coming, but this is now basically a routine that you set up in the admin area, and it pulls that information into the system and applies it to the bands automatically based on the mapping that you set. Okay, so I'm just going to go into the admin and show you how it's set up. Really easy to do. Oh, good start. So I'll put my real name in. Okay, so go into the admin, and in the general admin area where your pricing bands have been set up. So we're going on the basis that your bands already exist here. For any customers that don't have pricing bands set up, we can cover that if required in a separate session. Okay, so the pricing bands will be in here, and there will be a list of pricing bands, discount or margin based bands, depending on what you've got set up. Okay, so what we're looking to do is, from these bands that you've manually created here, determine what letter from your catalog bands, and we're talking about vow and spices here, it automatically maps it to this particular band that you've created in the system. So the data is hard coded in the data file that you import, and we're saying from the manual pricing band that we've created, how does that information arrive in our band and basically maintain itself with every catalog import. So all you need to do is have the bands in here, and then there's a new section at the bottom called catalog mappings. Okay, so in catalog mappings, I'm just going to choose a new mapping. The type is just relevant to the supplier catalog that you've got, so I'm just going to take vow from the list, choose vow. I'd mark in the source values who the supplier is against that catalog. So, for example, vow, and then manufacturer info 4, I'm going to choose B as an example, on the basis that I think I've already got A set up here. So I'd choose B. So that's the letter that comes directly from the data file that we receive. Okay. And what I want to do now is map it to the manual band that I've created in here, which I apply to my customers. Okay, so I've got a band called VOW Band B discount. Okay, so all I'm going to do there is those settings, insert as a new mapping created, click OK, and then I can repeat that process for however many bands that I have. And I can just cancel when I'm done, and then I'd have a new band. So every time I import my catalogs now, what Prima's going to be looking to do is anywhere where in that manufacturer info 4 column that you have, where that matrix letter data comes from VOW or Spices, it's going to be mapping it to the relevant pricing band that you've got in the system. So it takes away that manual process that you do, hopefully, with each catalog import. So a time saver, which is always good, and it also means that you're not going to forget to do it. So there's a big plus there. Okay, so that's the first thing, and it's we know this stuff's used heavily. The pricing bands is used heavily by our customers. So we're just going to move on now to the next part of the session. Okay, so I'm just going to look at within Prima itself. I'm going to look at some sales related changes that we've made. Some of them quite minor, but the effect is, from a usability point of view, makes the system much improved, I think. So I'm going to close out of the admin because I don't need that anymore, and I'm going to bring up Prima Cloud. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the latest version. So this is 2016-12, and we are now going to go into the price check function. So anyone who's used the price check before, I've seen it's a bit cumbersome with the drop down. What we've done is, essentially in the new version, is we've added the standard customer search as you would know it in here. So I can put a customer's name in. I can tab to search, and then I will get a list of customers. I know previously it was a drop down list that you would generally have hundreds of customers in here, and then you'd have to scroll through and find the relevant one. So it just makes the process more usable, and then in the same way as you could before, put your code in, and then Prima will retrieve the price as if you'd put it onto a quote or an order, using the pricing rules as it does now. Okay, so it's a quick feature, and it's made more usable by having the better search in there. So hopefully you guys can benefit from that now. Okay, so that was pretty quick. We'll move on to the next. Okay, so for this same customer, for example, I'm just gonna put a new order on. So go into new order, find my customer, and just create a new order. Okay, so in my new order, we've added some, I suppose, usability features into here, and it's phase one to be moved on to in the next release when we've got the data back from the suppliers. Some important information that you get as you're putting an order or a quote into the system. Okay, so first one, this is just a minor change from what you might see, but there's a little bit of work going on in the background. When you're searching for a product, some of our customers would use the mouse, some would use the tab key to search. The enter function now also works when you're putting an item onto an order or quote. So I hit enter now, it will find the code and put that line into the order. Okay, in the same way as it does when you click the search button. If it's part of a code, it will put it onto the little pop-up so you can choose the relevant product, and then you can select it. Okay, so what you'll see, hopefully straight below the quantity field, is supplier lead time and supplier stock information. So we want to make this information more visible to the user. Okay, who the supplier account code is, the lead time, and the supplier stock. So when I was talking about when we've got the information from the suppliers, in the next release we will have that file, and basically what you're going to have is lead time data based on the product. So one day for next day items, 3 day, whatever it may be for furniture, etc. And then a stock value, which is based on your wholesaler's stock. So Prima will be collecting a feed and giving you that visibility of that information directly from the order entry point of view. So we think those few little things are a kind of big benefit for the user when they're putting the information into an order or quote. Hopefully you guys can benefit from that as well. What's coming in a future release is something just moving on from that, is once in here in the supplier cost price field, what you'll have in here is your stock values also showing in the list here, and moving on from that, the ability to essentially double click if you have permission and be able to switch the supplier. Okay, so these are some big usability changes and functionality that we are working on in the background. Once we've got those supplier feeds, that, like I say, that will be showing in here. Okay. So I'm just going to come out of the sales order section now. I'm just going to go into the sales invoice area. Okay, so in the sales invoicing, we have several customers, well, more than several, quite a few customers that would run the invoices separately. So what I mean by that is running support contracts through Prima, running the standard stationery orders through Prima, running cash sale orders through Prima as batch invoice groups, and web orders as invoice groups. There's been a request to basically separate out those functions, so I can handle my standard stationery invoices as a batch, and then I can come back later and look at my cash invoices, for example, from my trade counter orders. So in the available lines, you've now got an option here to exclude support contracts, cash sale, and web orders, and that'll just enable you to kind of break down the invoice process, so it will help the people running the invoicing in Prima. Okay. So that's a very quick one from the sales side. From sales, I'm just gonna move over to purchasing. On the purchasing side, we generally or often get a request that Prima's not giving us the information when stuff's been deleted off a purchase order, not giving us enough information or visibility that something's been deleted off a purchase order. Subsequently, the people doing the buying are unaware, and that item runs back onto the requirement screen to be purchased again and again and again and again. That process repeats itself without basically the system making you aware. So what we've put into the latest version in the requirement screen when you get upgraded, you'll have to go across and fetch it to the left hand side. But on the right hand side here, you've got an option called EDI Account, and that's just this column. I'm just going to move it over to the left because I suggest you have it set somewhere over here. Move it across. And basically what it'll do is whatever's on my requirements. So if I just search now, I might have a few things on here. So I've got an EDI count here of 0. So that means how many times have we tried to purchase this item. So the flag to the person doing the purchasing, if this is 1, 2, 3 times, it would generally tell you that there's something wrong with that line, and the purchase order obviously will be deleting that line. So it would give you the opportunity from here, without really needing to check your purchase orders, that something's come back and you may need to switch an item. Just better visibility, really. Okay. We've also added into the purchase order section, I don't know how many of our customers that are with us today use the, take spices out of there, take a vow PO for example. Anyone who uses pick wrap that's joined us today, pick wrap and label, some of our customers that get charged a percentage of the order, and that gets written back in the acknowledgement. Now previously Prima didn't pick that up, and what we've done is twofold. We've given the option for Prima to collect that information, so that would go into the delivery cost here, and then we've put a system key in place whereby you can choose whether or not you want that cost price to kind of write back across the lines. So anyone who uses that field now will know that Prima uses a percentage of that cost and apportions it to the lines to basically represent true cost in your batch. So it's a system key, and you can switch that on or off. The default would be off. Okay. So I'm just going to move across from purchasing. I've got an update on some stock that's been changed. So our stock take, what we have in our stock take now is much better searching for the stock take. And again, this has come from customer feedback. Sorry. So go to stock and stock taking. In our available lines, previously this was all you had in terms of running the stock take. So there's not much information there for you to narrow down your warehouse, your locations, and basically build a relevant stock take. It was a pretty long-winded process. So what we've done is all that information that you can search on in the stock product area, we've brought that to the filters within the stock search here. So I can search by depot. I can introduce a warehouse into that filter, and then I can hit enter and return the stock, and then I can build a relevant stock take. I can highlight the lines from there. I might only want to stock take these two, so I can highlight the lines I want and create a stock take. Okay, so it's a much cleaner way of running the stock take, rather than seeing everything in the list and then you perhaps having to weed out the stuff that you don't want. You can make the actual search much more relevant in the first place, hence making the stock take more efficient. So it's quick and easy to do one by bin location or warehouse location within the stock take process now. And obviously when you go in there, then you've got the option to print it, etc. So I'm just going to complete that. So I'll just run back into that into that available lines briefly, just so you get an idea of some of the extra things that we've put in here. So status of the products, who's created the products, product codes, units, how the products are priced, product groupings, so your classifications. Okay. It just makes the stock take much more usable and much more relevant. You have the options here as well to save a preferred filter in here as well, if you wanted to. Okay. So moving away from the stock taking, I'm just going to go to the general tab, and I just want to show you just a quick update to the journals. We have some customers that would want to give a list of journals or tasks if they use journals and tasks through Prima, and that would give you the option to print or export those. If they perhaps wanted a telesales person to pick up a load of calls, they could be working from a printed list, or make sure they give them one of their colleagues a hard copy of the tasks. Or if it's a reference for yourself and you just want to kind of have a hard copy work to list, or put it into Excel for someone to work with, then essentially I've got my saved filters of my journals in here, so I'm just going to search, and then I've got the option now, if I right click, to export the data. Okay, so I can export the data and I can put it in Excel, or I can print it from here, and that would just give me a hard copy or a file that I can send to a particular member of staff if I wanted them to pick up my calls, or, for example. Okay, so that's just a brief update to the grid. I know in the last version you'll have seen the remove selected and features come back into the grids, which I know was welcomed by our customers. Okay. Finally, I just want to look at the reporting side. So we added 2 new reports in this last version. And they're around fulfillment on customer orders, and this is kind of a first pass at these reports. So based on customer feedback, we'll be making changes to them and improvements. But the requests that were coming in were customers were wanting to know essentially what orders were in the system, what had been delivered, and what was the status on the stuff that was not yet delivered. So there was a current month view of that information, and we can only obviously do that through the sales orders, and then similar information to be extracted via the invoice lines. Okay, so if I just give you a brief look, and then when you've been updated to the latest version, you can go in and have a look yourselves. So if I could just go into the sales order one, for example. So in here, I've got customer data. I've got, in terms of company names, company account codes, address locations against the orders, sales order references, sales order status, and we're talking at line level here. I've got code data, I've got sales order quantity data, pricing, classifications, delivery note numbers, and this is for reference for at your customer's end. They might want to be able to marry it up with the order number. So you've got dispatch notes, dispatch dates, what's the dispatch quantity, so you can have a look at what's outstanding versus what was ordered, and basically what's the invoiceable value in there based on what's been dispatched. Okay, so these are just lists of information based on the search criteria. Okay, so in the criteria here, I've got company name, I've got business group. And then I can search by date. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually run a session on the reports in terms of editing the reports, because some of our customers, some of these columns would not be relevant. So through the edit layout function, you can delete columns, filter, manipulate the information in a better way. You can format it with different fonts, different colors and stuff, and you can basically set up a list of customer reports in here. So we will cover that, and we'll announce we're going to do a separate session on that. Okay. And the invoice line one, just briefly, that's in a similar vein. It's invoice line data with that address information in there. I believe you've got an last dispatch date on the invoice there. So that was essentially when that order was marked as complete, because that's when the invoice was done. Okay. And there's a summary there at invoice level, not at line level. Okay. So those are just some of the bits that have come into the new version. Stuff that I'm not going to show you, but just as an indicator that we've made some changes in here. In the admin area, the facility to add Xero and Sage 1 as accountancy packages has joined into this version. So the work's being done to have that information or have those packages link into Prima. So that'll be QuickBooks, Xero and Sage 1, the cloud accountancy packages, going to be in the very short future available with Prima. So we're really excited about that, because a lot of our customers have been looking at alternatives to the traditional Sage Line 50, and there are some good options out there. So if you're interested in that, you can let us know, and we can give you some more accurate information on what's going to be happening. What we're looking to do as a brief thing is basically via the individual cloud products API, so the information linking directly from Prima into those cloud products in real time, and that'll be obviously a big move forward from the standard scheduling that you run with Sage Line 50 at the moment. Okay, we've got electronic purchase invoicing with the supplier DMC. So anyone who's looking to improve their invoice process and they use DMC, then you can contact the support team. They can give you a hand setting that up. Okay. We have a new invoice profile against the customers at customer level, and this is merged invoice by single cost center. So we've got some customers that run their invoices by cost center, but it groups them onto one merged invoice at the moment, and now you can have a dedicated invoice per cost center. Okay. And the final point I've got on the notes here is the stock transfer. So this will help anyone who's using Prima's till. The stock transfer is available through the till, and it's also available through the back office. So we're going to be we'll run a session to show you how it works in both cases. So it's directly through the product, or it's through the trade counter. Okay. So those are the points I wanted to cover with you guys. I've just been handed a question that's come through from one of the users that's online today, and the question is regarding the stock take. Can you only search for items that are in stock? The answer is no. You can, in the stock take, you can search for any product as long as it's not already on a stock take. Any limited product you can find in the list and use that. So that's, yeah, it's not an issue at all. Okay. There's about 49-50 updates in the new version. So those will be detailed on the release notes that we'll be communicating out to our customers shortly. Obviously, we as in us and you customers, we don't have the time essentially, and some of it's in case it's not necessary for you to have a session on it. It might be the case that an update has just changed a label on a record or something, so then it's not necessary of a session to go through it. So in some of the cases you can read through and just pick up the bits as you need in your own time. But what we're going to try to do is pick out for each one of these sessions the important things as we see it, for our customers that they will benefit from. So hopefully you've seen a few things today, and if you've got any questions, we're going to hang around for several minutes and we'll be online to answer any of those questions. So I hope you've enjoyed as such the what we've gone through today. We're really excited about what's coming in the next few months on Prima, so I want to make sure that we communicate that better to our customers, and these regular webinars is going to be a start point of that. So hopefully we'll see you next time, and in the newsletter going out on Monday we'll be telling you what the next sessions are going to be covering. I want to be doing 2 to 3 a month, and your staff will be welcome to drop in as and when you need to. So okay, thanks for your time, but like I say, we'll stay online now on the YouTube channel and you can ask as many questions as you want. Okay.